Tommy Kilpatrick. I'm trying to think. I've never met anyone quite like Tommy before. We had to push this conversation off a couple times due to some scheduling conflicts. He's now in the Philippines, but he he's from the west coast of the United States, from California. Eventually walked to New England. He took a 10-year vow of poverty at a particular point in his life. Just the way his mind thinks, just the way, just a true entrepreneurial spirit. When you ask him about one thing, he launches into another area. He started many businesses. He now works on debt relief. His interpretation of what credit card debt is interesting, and I was just amazed at the conversation. I mean, I would ask a question, and it would go completely in a different area. I mean, just the way his brain works, it's fascinating to me. I did ask him about discipline, and I had to reel him in a little bit to kind of get back to it, but just fascinating conversation with Tommy. It's just, again, I'm amazed at the way some people's minds work. It's one of the reasons why I love doing this podcast. I just get to talk to fascinating people like Tommy. Thanks so much for your time, and thanks for listening and watching. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How'd I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others. Tommy Kilpatrick. Tommy,
Yeah.
what's the 3H Club?
That's an organization I created. It's hunger, housing, and humanity. And humanity has to deal with the opioid addiction. And I created that in the state of Maine. And so what it's all about is getting free food and free housing, and basically kind of detoxifying uh, and drug addicts. And then the idea is to ship them to Argentina to a farm I'm going to purchase sometime in the future, and then that's where they will stay. I will detoxify them. It takes me about 30 days to detoxify the body. It takes about 90 days to detoxify the mind, but I can't detoxify their life. If they go right back into the environment of their friends and everything, they're going to die. So I've been to too many of these meetings, and they started counting all the people who have died, and it's just awful what's happened in that area. This is the area that the Sackler family targeted with their Oxycontin, where they were
Yeah.
giving end of life painkillers to children when people went in for a tooth or a root canal or a wisdom teeth, or they were hurt on a football field. They were given Oxycontin in huge doses, and it was just an awful thing that they did to them. So that's where my 3H Club comes into play. So I'm going to be opening up a restaurant there and having free food and giving away the free food, and people pay for a reservation, basically. So I'll be able to feed the community for free, a 5-course meal twice a day. And then the free housing kind of ties in with, I take the little ladies that are in their own home, separate and alone and cold at the cold in winter, and they don't have enough food at the end of the month, and no one's taking care of them. And I bring 5 of them into a condo, a new house, or a larger home. And I bring the Filipino, and that's why I'm here in the Philippines, is I have an engagement with a family. I'm engaged to a Filipino, but their family is RNs. So the idea is to bring the RNs there, and they'll take care of them for the rest of their life. And so we combine 5 Social Security checks together, and now we can pay for the house, we can pay for the help, we can pay for everything. I mean, there's $5,000 or $10,000 left over. We still got 2 houses out of the 5. We've sold those to build the house for free or buy a house for free. So those houses create income. So now I can have these little ladies have $5,000 or $10,000 a month to spend and enjoy their life until they're dead. And so once 3 pass away, the house becomes a Filipino house, but with a provision is 2 ladies can live there for the rest of their lives. So that's kind of a nutshell what I'm up to.
In this fast-paced MSP landscape, how do you stay ahead? Introducing MSPinfluencer.com, your ultimate hub for MSP news, insights, and community connection powered by Forza Dash. More than 75,000 MSPs subscribe to our MSP Influencer Pulse weekly newsletter, staying informed and ahead of industry trends. Tune in to emerging podcasts from Joey Pinz and leading MSP voices, offering essential tips, powerful insights, and success stories. Explore our multi-authored blogs, crafted specifically for MSP leaders, delivering fresh perspectives and actionable strategies. Celebrate excellence with the industry-leading Forza MSP Influencer Awards, recognizing innovation, leadership, and impact in the MSP community. Join thousands of MSP professionals who trust MSPinfluencer.com to grow their business and expand their networks. MSPinfluencer.com, where today's MSP leaders connect, collaborate, and conquer, all powered by the Forza platform, helping MSP vendors work effectively with MSPs and helping MSPs grow.
It started in Maine, you said, Tommy, and then why go to Argentina? Why not just do it there?
Argentina has a program where you bring in $7,000 and you start a business. And my idea is an import-export business. And that in 2 years, you have become a citizen and you'll get a passport. So I'm trying to take these non-violent drug addicts to another environment and take them to a farm and teach them how to be men, teach them how to grow their own food, how to drill the well. And by getting into the pit and you actually dig the dirt out and a pipe drops down, you drop another cement pipe down, and you build your own well that way, and build their own house and make their own clothing, and taking them back to being a man. And now they get a new life, they get a new name, and they get a new wife, and maybe they'll never return. Well, maybe they never return. Maybe they do want to return. Then they can get a full pardon, because I'll ask the judge that I have a connection with there for a conditional pardon. And the community does not want these people in their community. They are well hated because of their long history of crimes they commit. It's just to get drug money is all what they are. So, and so that's why Argentina. But I need the Filipinos for the nursing. So for the take care of the elderly ladies, and then the elderly men. Well, the family brings eligible females, eligible Filipinos, and now we can take the men from Maine back to the Philippines. And when they live on, let's say, $1,000 Social Security, they live very well. I can live on $100 here when I'm on a farm and I'm given free room and board. But on the other side, I can live here very well for $600 a month. So the living standard here is dramatically better if you have a fixed income.
Hmm. And what got you introduced to this community?
Well, about 12 years ago, the wife said, "Get out, take the dog with you." And I left 5 medical clinics. I had a charity and I had a business that we were manufacturing a medical device. And I put everything I owned in a backpack and took a walk, and ended up walking across the United States and ended up in Connecticut on a farm. And it had no running water, no heat, there was no electricity. It was right next to I-95, so I could hear the roar of the traffic every night, and it was wonderful. And there was a Buddhist temple there. The guy had been in Tibet for about 20 years, and so he was a Buddhist, but he had this farm from the family, and it was never modernized. So I was there and I met a lady there with a 2-year-old, and then she made me an offer I couldn't refuse. Come with her up to Maine. She was going to take care of her uncle's house for the winter while he was a merchant marine. So we did that, and it's went very well for 10 years. We actually got a farm up there, was living on the farm. I thought I was going to die there. But then she started banging a neighbor. So there you go, typical American woman. So off I went to go to the Philippines to find a wife and the extended nursing family that would be required for me to do what I need to do back in Maine. So, yeah, I'm crazy.
Fascinating, fascinating. And this 3H club that you talked about, hunger, housing, humanity, it's still not it's still in infancy, or you've actually have people working, you've taken people away to Argentina.
Not yet. Yeah, not yet. That's where things were going along very well until that my girlfriend of 10 years started banging a neighbor. So that kind of threw everything into it. And it was I had made so many presentations to city councils and to senior centers that had a kitchen. I did it to food pantries that had a kitchen. All these places I'm talking about, even this historic firehouse had a kitchen. Everybody had a commercial kitchen, and they all were doing nothing with it. And there was so much food available. I was given 65 pounds a week of food from the food pantry, and I was not taking food away from anybody. They had more food
Hmm.
than there was available. So I could do that to 4 different pantries. So I could bring in 130 pounds of 200 pounds of food a week. And and I could put that into the kitchen and I could feed 10 or 12 people. And if I had other people doing the same thing, bring the food to one location, we bake it, cook it all in a mass scale. Because I was on the Oriskany and Ticonderoga. I was not in the Navy, my brother was. And so I saw them feed 5,000 men 4 meals
Mm.
a day. So you can do this on a grander scale. It's a economy of scale. So that was my idea. And also you get food stamps. So I was given $300 of food stamps, and we can use that at Costco, Sam's Club. So if I have 100 people in my program, I have $30,000 to spend cash at Sam's Club every month, and I have 20,000 pounds of food a week. So these 100 people get a 5-course meal, supper and brunch twice a day, and they spend nothing. They have to volunteer. They volunteer 10 hours a month. So I made these proposals and I was getting things going, and then shift happens. But yeah, I tried to put an offer on a 27-bed nursing home that had been occupied for like 15 years. So I offered them $1 million, but they took a $300,000 cash offer. So I was going to bring 25 little ladies into this one nursing home. And when you direct their social security checks of 25 at $2,000 average each, I got $50,000 a month coming in. And then I have my Filipino family taking care of them. Plus, I put them all on food stamps and they're all at the pantry. So I got plenty of cash. And so the idea is that out of these 25, 5 of those little ladies will connect and they'll be like sisters from a different mother. And it's just, I do personality evaluations before they actually come in. So they already got to be agreeable kind of personalities. And so that way I can find a home, a bigger house for them, and that's what they do. Everything's all free. Nothing costs them anything. We move them to the uh, the nursing home, which is not really a nursing home. It's like a condo, and it's all
Mm.
free. We pay for that, and then they can keep their house. We maintain their house for 6 months. But then if they decide to come on board, then they agree to put that into a limited partnership. So the 5 houses of the ladies go to a limited partnership, and then that's where the 2 or 3 of the houses are sold to have no mortgage on a larger house, or to do renovations and things. But then the other 2 houses can be rented out or be part of a business, which would be tying in with some of the things we're already doing, like a kitchen. But it's not really going to be a restaurant. Jumping back to the food, it's called Art You Eat. So it's actually an art gallery. It's not technically a restaurant, and it's done through a PMA, a private membership association. So it's not sold to the public. So you become a member and you come and you eat. So it's Art You Eat. So I have a plan for the culinary artist in residence. So I take 5 people who want to be a chef, and they come and they live there. It's free, and they're given an allowance too. But they're to cook all day and bake all night. And from that 90 days, they are well trained being chefs. Like I have been a chef before in a restaurant, and I've also controlled the Country Club Rancho Bernardo. So I've seen from the accounting side to the actual physical work of a chef of how much waste there is. So but I'm going to do it here in the Philippines because I don't have an overhead as much. I don't have the risk. So, and I have a family, extended family that are involved in the restaurant business and also as nurses. So I'm in the right place, the right time. And once I
Well, you
perfect it
say
here
that it's
and
free to
actually have
those
a
people,
record,
but
I'll bring it back.
it's not really free to them because they are handing over their Social Security, correct?
Right. Yeah, they're right. So, and you look at their budget right now, they get $2,000, but they don't have enough at the end of the month. They can't pay taxes. They don't have the overhead. They're not taking care of the house. They're abandoned by their family. No one's watching them. No one's taking care of them. They're eating crap. They're eating macaroni and cheese and stuff like that. So this way here, we combine 5. Now we have $10,000 of
I see.
money every month. That goes into a condo, and it's all done by a CPA. It's all done legal. So we have the attorneys, and they sign in. They actually buy their room in the condo, and so they're covered. We have a brand
Have
new
you always had these
van.
kind of have you always had you're an Irish kid from New England, right? So have you ever had like these this visionary kind of top level ideas like this even as a kid?
Well, I was actually born and raised in Long Beach, California, so I never thought I'd leave
Wow.
California. Then the wife said, "Get out." She was a nurse, so I started dating her. Back in 84. That's when I saw at the hospital that 1/4 of all the nurses were Filipinas. So I've always known
Huh.
back then that the Filipinos are culturally and by law. They actually have a law here that forces a child to take care of their parents, even if they have their own
Huh.
family. They are legally obligated to take care of their family, of their parents. So it's not only cultural, but it's legal here.
Fascinating.
So, so that's
Hmm.
what happened. I never thought I'd leave California, but then shift happens. And before that, I had 5 medical clinics. I was working with the military. I had I was invited to Camp Pendleton, the first time the military has ever admitted that PTSD existed. And there I had my chairs, I had massage chairs, I had the foot bath ionizer I was manufacturing, and the chaplains came up to see what I was doing. I had a whole display there at the conference, and people were getting into my chairs, experiencing my pain relief. And they said, "We deal with a suicide. Can we work together with you?" I said, "That's what I'm here for." So they would bring
Hmm.
busloads of, and I said to them, "I want the extreme PTSDs. I don't want the marginal ones. I want the ones that the extreme." And they would bring them by bus. And then they would come to my clinic, and they would spend about 4 to 5 hours there. And they would walk out like a jelly donut. They were so relaxed. And the military found that my treatment was the most effective they've ever seen of the PTSD. But I never got a contract. I never got forward because I can't remember his first name, but Cunningham was a representative of San Diego area in Congress, and he was taking bribes. So it came out later that that the only way you can get a
This is
contract
allegedly,
was,
Tommy. This is allegedly.
yeah.
This is allegedly. We have to. It's a
Oh, he went
very
to
tough
jail.
accusation you're
No,
making there.
well, he went to
Uh,
jail for it. So
yeah.
I didn't know
It's
about it.
horrible.
So I
Mm.
didn't know the connection into bribe. And I wouldn't do it anyway. But that was why I didn't
Wow.
get a contract, is it had to go through the representative, the congressman. So, but yeah, yeah. No,
Oftentimes, when I talk to people like yourself that have this, that are so top level and have all these ideas, it's incredible how your mind works. I've watched you in interviews, and there's the visionary, and then there's like the implementer, the actual one who does it. Uh,
yeah.
I get the feeling that you're more the visionary and you're not the implementer. You try to be implementer, but you're just more of a visionary person. This is thoughts.
Well, it might appear that way, but when I manufactured my ionizer, a friend of mine invited me over to her house. I put my feet in a bucket of water, and she dropped this thing called a Q2. It was from Australia, and my feet were in this clean bucket of water. And actually, 15 minutes later, it was all full of brown, green, mucky stuff. So I went, "Oh my gosh!" So
Amazing.
I bought one for $3,500. And then when I sold 4, I made enough commission to buy my own. So it's, you sell 4 and you get one for free. So I had a whole reflexology training association, and I was training people to be instructors. I had teaching primarily the beauty field. So then I decided to manufacture my own, and I went to a guy and I said, "Make me something like this." And that's what he did. And so I started manufacturing them. I got involved in injection molding. First was the SLA, the stereolithography. And that's where the
Amazing.
3D printing now, it's way back then I knew about this. So I had a mold made, it looked like an icosahedron because of my love of Buckminster Fuller. And so I'm into icosahedrons, octahedrons, tetrahedrons. So yeah, you could say that, but also I was involved. I created the clinics. I went to the trade shows, saw them products, purchased them, put them into my clinic, and then had 5 of them up and running. And then a friend of mine gave me a charity. And then I helped people with the credit repair and then debt elimination and then court and lawsuits and then learning all about my father-in-law, who's an attorney and a judge. So I had a lot of legal background. So I've done it all. Oh, I
So
did
what
it. I
happened with
did it.
that one business you just talked about there? Because do you
Okay.
have any idea of how many businesses you started?
Well,
In the hundreds?
I've heard the no, not really. It just sort of evolved because
I
when
see.
I was in teaching the reflexology to the beauty industry, it was going very well. And then
Yeah.
2000 came along on 9/11, and I was in Florida at the time that 9/11
Huh.
happened, and I was on a plane to fly back, and they announced that, hey, a plane hit World Trade Center. And I went, well, that happened in World War II. The B-25 hit the Empire State Building, 11 people were killed. Now I understand about a 40-minute fire. So, okay. But then when they said a second plane hit, I got up out of my seat, got my luggage out of the overhead. I didn't check anything. So I went back to the rental car and I got the same rental car I just dropped off. And I went back to my friend's condo and I couldn't leave for like 3 or 4 days. So it affected my family. My children were probably 7 and 5, if I remember right.
Mm.
Yeah. And so that affected them knowing I wasn't being able to come back. And then that just messed up the business. And then the influx of the Vietnamese, they really decimated the beauty industry because in the nail business, because Americans will buy a book, everyone will buy a book, everyone will take a class. They socially will buy one book, take one class, and they teach it to everybody. So that business fell apart. So that's where I had to kind of shift to the ionizer and shifting on that. And then once I had a debt, I had that infomercial contract, and then I had the debt, and I dealt with that. Then it led into that free charity that was given to me, and then so I did the charitable work for the people, and so that's kind of got me. And then shift happens. I take a break. I don't. I'm take a vow of poverty. I become homeless for on purpose. So I traveled across the United States, and I didn't have money for that night food. I didn't have a place to stay. I was never dirty. I was never a drug addict, and I would never take charity, but I would do something for somebody else in exchange for a place to sleep or a place to stay or some food. And that's what I wanted to feel. So when I'm here in the Philippines and there's people of
Amazing.
poverty, they apologize. And I went, I've lived worse. This is beautiful
Mm.
home you have, but it's leaking.
Mm.
I have lived in places that didn't have a roof. So I'm very appreciative of what I have and very thankful for where I'm
Amazing,
at
Tommy.
today.
Absolutely amazing. So talk more about the I heard you talk about this vow of poverty. So what led to it and what exactly is the vow and who are you vowing to?
Yes, I for whenever I would accumulate this tremendous amount of wealth I was always having to plan on someone taking it away from me. So I
Huh.
had several corporations. I think I had uh, uh, five corporations created in Delaware, and I had them, and I was working getting the credit, getting the credit established. Now I had these five shell companies that I was there for, so in case something was going to happen, I'd be able to shift my assets to another corporation and play that shell game and stuff. And it was just the thinking that
Yeah.
some shift might happen and you take it away from you. So when this opportunity came up and the wife said, get out, and oh, what a godsend. Thank you very much. So
Huh.
I gave up ownership of everything. I walked away from everything. She had it all. I wanted nothing from her and nothing of the wealth. So then for 10 years, I took a vow of poverty to myself and I trust God. And so I took a walk, and everywhere I went, God always provided me a place to stay, food, and people would come out of the woodwork for me. Amazing places I didn't even ask for it. People would come up and do things for me, and I always would do something for them. There was always an exchange. I never took
Give me an
charity in
example.
that sense.
Give me an example of this exchange.
Well, let's see here. There was a gentleman who, I was walking by and people were setting chairs up. And I said, do you need some help? And he said, oh, no. I said, well, let me just do it anyways. Tied the dog up because I had a dog and tied him up to a tree and I started putting chairs out. And I said, and when's it over? She said, well, about 3 o'clock. No, I'll come back. You don't have to do that. I said, that's okay. I don't expect anything. No money. So I walked around town and then I'd come back and took the chairs down for them and put it all away. And he said, well, what can we do for you? And I said, I'm just looking for a place to stay. Oh, we can put you up in a hotel. I said, no, I don't want a hotel because I don't really want to be in that. And I'm sitting there in a hotel. No, I'm just looking for a place. And they said, well, we don't have anything. I said, that's okay. So I let it go. But then as I'm walking down, this gentleman had seen what I had done and he gave me a place to stay on his couch. So it's called couch surfing. I never heard of it, but there's a website you go
Yeah,
to and
couch
it's couch surfing. So then he introduced me to wolfing, and that's WWOOF. It's Worldwide Opportunity Organic Farming. So I'd never heard of it before. So we looked at the site and there was a farm nearby. So he drove me out to this farmer and she told me all what it is that people would come to her farm to stay a day, a week, a month, a year, and you would exchange your labor and they would give you room and board. So I looked up the
Wow.
map and I was saying, he's going to New York. So I agreed to help him drive his truck. He was a contractor. So it was like from Michigan, he had to go to New York City. And then he was going to go north. And I said, hey, can you drop me off in Connecticut? He said, sure. Because I had looked up going that direction. There was this farm, this organic farm that had no running water, no electricity, and no heat. And it was perfect. And I would be there to learn organic farming. That's what I wanted to learn. So I wanted to be self-sufficient. So that's where I lived there for several months in exchange for my labor. And so I wouldn't touch money. I wasn't interested in making my own money, but I made other people money. So we
Wow.
had like a farmer's market. So he would sell a couple $100, but when I got into it, we were selling 500 because he had jam that we would go and collect the berries and making a jam and put them in the jars. And then I would give people samples, and whatever we had too much jars of, that sold right away. So I was always out there pushing the sample because if you give somebody something, they feel obligated to give you back something. So I was always on my path of love, which in Hebrew language means I give. That's the first thing I would do. I would give to somebody. And if they wanted to give something back to me, that's appreciative. If not, I moved on. So it was a great relationship back and forth everywhere I went.
Hey, Joey Pinz here. Want to take your podcast experience to the next level? I'm excited to invite you to become a YouTube member. It's the absolute best way to support the channel and enhance your connection. Join our amazing community and unlock the incredible perks, custom loyalty badges, exclusive emojis, and priority comment replies. Your voice will always stand out. Be the first to watch new videos with early access, receive special membership shoutouts, and get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and updates. Dive into content available only to our members, special videos, deep dives, and insider perspectives. Engage directly with me. Suggest podcast topics you want to hear, and even get personalized video shoutouts. Hit the join button right now and become part of something special. Let's build this amazing community together. I can't wait to welcome you as a new member. Join the Joey Pinz family today.
But for 10 years, Tommy, you did this.
Mm-hmm.
So you walked and you had no possessions or very little possessions, a dog, and you just for 10 years, is that an exaggeration?
I was on a farm for about 6 of those years in Maine,
Wow.
but basically I had no home because I didn't want any possession of it. And I thought I was going to die there. Just bury me in the back. I gave up my ID. I didn't have a passport, didn't have a driver's license, had nothing.
Unbelievable. And
Yeah. It took me a
had you
year
always
to
had in the
finally
back of your
eat.
mind that you would take this vow? How did you arrive to it? What?
No, no, it was studying Buddha and things like that. So,
Yeah. Mm.
but I'm a Christian. But then again, Jesus is said to have gone there too. So, it's that Buddhist influence and a lot of stories that I would share with my children. And there you go. You know, I have a 37-year-old and a 35-year-old, and they haven't talked to me in 12 years. So it's the American family just blown up. I call it the nuclear family, but I was in a detonated family. It just, and it's when you
Tommy,
try to
why aren't your
discipline your
kids
children,
talking to you, Tommy? Why aren't your kids talking to you?
that
That's terrible.
that's a good one. The son, we had a very good relationship, I thought. And at 17, he got nearly a full ride scholarship at Drexel because I took him to the East Coast and actually to Chicago. First of all, we went to Northwestern University and we did a whole university trip to see what would be the best school. And we ended up at Drexel and it was the best deal. he got a near free ride. And in 4 years, he came out with a master's of engineering. So when he got a girlfriend, he started moving in, and the wife and I said, well, if you're going to play the adult game, then we're going to cut you off your money. Why should we pay you if you're going to be an adult? Then you got to be on your own. And that sort of started it. And then he didn't want my wife, his mother, to be at the wedding. So, and then he finally agreed, and it was the biggest mistake. She caused a scene. So I can understand why he never wants to see her ever again. And so, yeah. And then the daughter was fine, but it was always tension. It was, I know what I could do. I could never say the right thing. So when I was growing up, we had the Father Knows Best. We had the Donna Reed Show. We had G.I. Joe. We had Superman. We had my idols that I was supposed to emulate. And now what my children grew up with was The Simpsons and with South Park. And the adults are a bunch of buffoons, and the father is definitely an idiot. And the children know everything. And every movie you watch, always the children are much smarter than the adults. So this propaganda, this indoctrination in our country had just destroyed the family. So the fabric of society is falling apart. So that's why I came here. And tonight, and we're walking with my fiance, and we cross a path. Oh, there's my family member. And so every day we walk in a city, the third largest city, and there's family everywhere. It's just amazing. So it's a great feeling to
But
be part
Tommy,
of an extended family.
you're a Christian. You studied the Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
You took a vow of poverty for
Mm-hmm.
10 years. You understand what family, what relationship means. Can't these things be healed? I mean, I don't want to go through. I don't want to pounce on this, but that's
Fine,
a
that's
terrible
fine.
thing. I mean, I don't believe that The Simpsons and South Park have anything to do with it. I mean, that's just art. I mean, still, family is family, regardless of the art of the culture. Uh, why do you like talking to strangers?
Because I believe we have a holy contract. You've heard of holy water. We have the Holy Ghost. We have other things too. But a holy
Holy
contract is what I
cow!
believe that you and I and God got together and we're going to agree to cross paths. So every person that crossed my paths is there for a reason, is there for a purpose. If we just spend the time, we can figure out what is this. And so I believe everything is, in a sense, a manifest destiny, but I have free will. So my free will is my verb.
Hmm,
And once I've
hmm.
done my verb, then it becomes a noun. Then it's definitely determined because you can look back and see the whole choices you've made. But I look at it as someone has crossed my path. Even people who have done me really wrong and be truly evil, I asked for it. And so this soul would love me so much that he would do this to me. So I'm here to experience it and to grow from it. So I'm not a victim at all. I take full responsibility and I ask for it.
Hmm. That's a wonderful notion. I love it, and I wish maybe I don't want to speak out of turn that you'd extend that to your children as well. But what should we know, Tommy? What should we know, especially as Americans? I'm here in the States. You're over there in the Philippines about credit card debt.
Well, first of all, language is law and law is language. So if
Huh?
you use the language of the criminal, you're never going to win the argument. So you have to start off with the truth. So the truth is there is no such thing as bank issued alleged credit card debt. So all I ask you and your audience to do is to add one word in is alleged. So if it's alleged, like we watch a bank robbery in progress, they always say alleged bank robbery. Like you said, alleged. That's alleged thing what that guy did. Okay, that's fine. So it's
Right.
always alleged. That's all I'm asking you to do is about this alleged credit card debt. And now you put the burden on the bank to provide the evidence that there is. So there is true credit card debt, and that's from like you go to a tire store and you want tires for your car, but you don't have the money. So you say, what do I do? And they say, oh, why don't you just fill out the in-store credit card application, see if you're approved. Well, JP, you're approved. Great. So they put tires on your car, you drive away, and you didn't pay for it, right? But you have an invoice. At the end of the month, you get a statement, which is true. You owe the money. They have an outstanding unpaid invoice, which is true. And you owe that. You owe that to that tire store or to any merchant or anybody who provided a service to you. But the bank never put tires on your car. The bank never came out to your house and did a plumbing job. So they cannot issue credit. They're not like a merchant. You said, "Hey, Charlie, my crops are coming in 2 weeks. Can I get 5 pounds of sugar and a pound of butter?" "Oh, sure, we trust you." But they have an invoice. You don't go to Charlie, your merchant, a guy that has a general store, and say, "Hey, can I borrow $10,000?" No, you go to the bank. So the banks are involved in loans. So they're not involved in giving you goods and services. So there is no invoice.
So we're getting caught up here in credit cards have been around for a while, correct? So you're just saying the fundamental definition of how they work is just incorrect. You're looking at it at accounting as a transaction level, and you don't like the way they're being transacted. I see your logic, and I've heard you explain it before with the tires and everything, because they're not actually doing it. The tire company is, or the service company is. So, but we still owe the money, though. Correct?
It appears to be that way. So what happened is, let me just give you a background story. I'm an author and a retired teacher. So I wrote a book on
Yeah.
health and healing. And in 2004, I was given an infomercial contract. So for about 6 months, I was test marketed on radio interviews all across the country at all
Oh,
times.
yeah.
So I needed to kind of stop doing what I was doing and live on my 3 credit cards. I expected to pay back the 85,000 because they told me I was going to expect to be making about 100,000 a month. That's how good the response was to a $125 book. We didn't have to sell very many to make that money. So then one of the talents, I won't mention his name, but he's a well-known person that got in trouble with the FTC for the claims he made in his book. They came down hard on the company, and my contract was canceled. So I was left with $85,000 of credit card debt. That's what I thought it was at
Mm,
that time.
mm,
And then put me in a little bit of a depression. Then about a month later, I remember just waking up one morning. I'm thinking about my dad being a CPA, a certified public accountant, and how I was in
yeah.
school to be a CPA. I never got the credential, but I can do the work. And I realized that the bank does not have an invoice. Well, then there's no debt. And then you go, "Oh, they loaned you money." See, that's where the bank tricks you.
Right.
They're fraudulent.
Right.
There's a big worldwide fraud going on that I've uncovered. So now they say there's a loan. But I remember from my accounting
Hmm.
class, we read the book, required reading, the Modern Money Mechanics. And on page 6, right there, it says, mockingly, it says, "Of course we don't take the potter's money and loan it out. There wouldn't be enough. What we do is we accept a promissory note and we write numbers in your free checking account." So that's what the banks do
Hmm.
for a loan. But I never signed a promissory note, and that's required to issue a loan. Then, with my conversations with my father-in-law at the time, who was an attorney and a judge, we had discussed about how fraud undoes all contracts. So I do not have a contractual agreement with the bank. What I have is a free checking account, and that's what I asked for. So I filed 3 federal lawsuits, and did I win? Well, not
Right.
really. In one sense, the judge threw my case out. But when I looked at my credit report the following month, they were all off my credit report. I
They're
never got
gone.
sued, and I never got sent a 1099-C. So, yeah, the
So
banks are
that
pulling a fast one.
so I don't want to say the debt, but that credit card debt, whatever you want to call it, Tommy, was forgiven?
Well, not really. It's in my title of my book, so it's not really forgiven because it never was a debt. So this is what
See.
happens. You say now it's a loan. So you have a loan with the bank, you got to pay it back because they paid for all your purchases and they fronted your money. Okay, fine. So banks are all about loans. So if you have no money, then you go into a bank to get money. You can do it with a gun or something like that, but we're doing it legal. So you ask for a loan. So they ask you to fill out an application, which means a request. A request is not a promissory note. So let me ask you a question, JP. If you apply for a loan and you're turned down, do you still get the loan?
Of course not.
Of course not. So you're approved. Then you go into the bank and you fill out loan documents. You have to prove that you have an income because how are you going to prove to the bank you can pay this loan back? So if the bank was taken into court and it just says, "You're giving loans to people who don't even have an income," that's predatory. So the banks have to have you prove that you have an income. They also have to have collateral, because how are they going to be able to pay this loan back? You put up your house, you put up your car, and let's say for a personal loan, you put up your yacht. Well, if you don't pay, the bank has a legal ability to take that possession away from you, sell it. And if they don't get enough, well, that's too bad for them. But if they're long, let's say they made more money, they don't keep that the difference. They got to pay you back the difference. So you put up your yacht, they sell for $1 million, they pay off $100,000 loan, you still get 900,000. So they don't get to keep the 900. So that's what happens. So what banks do is they want you to be a customer. So to get you to be a customer, in the olden days, they purchased toasters and wall clocks, had them in the bank, and they said, come into our bank and we will give you this toaster. And that was a big deal back then. So you go in. One time I saw an ad in a paper that said, deposit $25 in our account, in a brand new account, and we will match it in 90 days. Well, I went in, deposit my $25. In 91 days, I went and withdrew the bank's $25, right? My $25, and I walked out with $50 and closed the account. Let me ask you a question, JP. Was that illegal, what I did?
Of course not.
Of course not. Was that immoral, what I did?
Morality is very tough to
Well,
comment
you
on.
answer that question. Was it immoral for me to take their offer and do what they said to do? And I did what they did. And they happily gave me my 25 and their 25. And I walked out. Was that immoral?
I don't see how morality plays a role here, but continue your
Well,
point.
I'm just, okay. So the point is, it's not immoral what I did, what my viewpoint is. And you have to remember that at the end of my our conversations. That's going to come back to us. Okay. So what
Morality.
we did,
Okay.
yes. Because people say it's immoral what I'm saying. No, it's not. It's your
Huh.
money. So what the bank did is they didn't give you a wall clock. They didn't give you a toaster. They didn't
A
give you
microwave.
$25 matching. They gave you a $500 credit card. So why in the world would they give you $500 gift card? You see, if you use their language, a credit card, you have credit card debt. You've got debt. You got to pay it. There's nothing I can do for you. But if you use the word
That's amazing.
alleged, and now you understand there's a difference that the bank could never have issued a credit card. Now we're into the story in the game that they're playing with a loan. So did they actually loan you the money? No, they didn't. They gave you the credit card, which they call a credit card, which I call a gift card. Because if you get a gift, it's a gift, just like when you go in to get a toaster or the wall clock or that $25 when you consider it a gift to me to get me to be a customer. So what did you do with your gift card? You went to Home Depot and you bought a toilet, let's say, a golden throne. Okay, so you're walking out with your golden throne, and Home Depot employee stops you at the door and says, "Sir, did you pay for that?" And you show them a receipt, right? Now, are you going to get a statement at the end of the month from Home Depot about an unpaid outstanding invoice? No.
No, they don't do that. Yeah.
No, Home Depot was paid. Now, here's the question, JP. Who paid? You didn't pay Home Depot, but who paid Home Depot that night or the next day?
Well, the creditor.
Right, the bank. The bank paid Home Depot. So you're never going to get a statement from Home Depot. But what you got was a statement from your credit card bill, right? You call it a credit card bill, it's a statement. You see, my first job when I left school was to be an accountant. And I had the CPA walk up to me and put a finger in my face and say, if you pay for a statement, I'm going to fire you. And explained that the company president might have milked a deal out with the other company. You don't know the deals we're making. You only pay from an invoice. And see right here that the department head. So there are 5 different departments in this company, and you can only pay from an invoice if there's a signature by that department head to okay this invoice. So you only pay from an approved invoice. You never pay from a statement. Let me ask you a question. You get a statement every month from your normal checking account. Is that a bill? Do you think that's
It's
a
a
bill?
statement.
It's a statement. That's all it is. Meant means an action. State means to say something. That's all they're saying. They're saying that you started with this much money, and then you had deposits, you had checks and debits and other fees, and you have an ending balance. That's all it is. Same thing with your bank issued alleged credit card statement. Okay. It's only a statement. But you're a good person. You're a moral person. You think you have a debt. So what do? You write out your check, let's say from the Bank of New York, right? You have a checking account from Bank of New York, and you write a $500 check to Bank of America. Now, here's my question for you. Is that the first time Bank of America has ever seen your money?
Of course not.
Think this through. You get a card in the mail from Bank of America. You didn't even apply. It was just delivered to you. It said you're pre-approved. You got this gift card. You think it's a credit card. I call it a gift card. You went to Home Depot. You didn't pay them at all. No money came out of your pocket. But at the end of the month, you wrote out a check from Bank of New York to Bank of America. Is that the
I
first
see what you're
time
saying.
Bank of America has ever seen your money?
In this given transaction, probably the case, but Bank of America sees everybody's money in this country one way or another. But I understand your point.
All right. So that's the first time that Bank of America has ever gotten your money. Banks are only about loans. So when you go into a bank with no money, you expect to come out with money, and that's called a loan. When you take money into the bank and leave it there, it's technically a loan. And in now, don't believe anything I have to say, folks. Anything, all your listeners don't believe anything I have to say. Look in the show notes, because in the very first link says that right there. Do not make deposits. What you're doing is you're loaning money to the bank. So when you loan the money to the bank and you spend it, the bank has less obligation. Then at the end of the month, you get a statement. If you want to put more money in it, your payroll check comes in, it fills it back up. And then every day you spend it. My whole argument is that from that purchase of your toilet from a gift card, you wrote a check out to Bank of America and thinking it was the right thing to do because you've been lied to, indoctrinated, and brainwashed. If you don't question it, you're brainwashed. Start to question it. Now we can talk about the indoctrination. So you sent that $500 to Bank of America. You loaned Bank of America $500 and they put it into your free checking account. Every purchase you've made since then has been with your own money.
It's I see what you're doing here, and it's interesting. The way your mind works, Tommy. It intrigues me. It intrigues me. Why you you redefine some of these things. The rich are going to keep getting rich, and they're gonna do what they do. But it's fascinating to me the way you think about these things, even just your entrepreneurial spirit and the way you move. Tell me, has there been anything in the last month or so that you changed your mind on?
I can't think of anything right now. I've got the whole projects I'm doing now. I wrote a book on how to speak Hiligaynon in 30 days, but that's another book, another topic, another thing but I've learned the language here. So,
Huh. That's
but back to
fascinating.
the credit.
Do you
So what
change your
happened?
mind on things often?
Not really. It's basically sound accounting. My whole point here has been that what I was taught, I have an experience you don't have. I had a dad who I grew up with accounting. I was very good at math and I followed very strict things. He was very, very moral person. You'll find the honest people to be CPAs. And that's why I say, don't believe me. And I send this podcast to your CPA or anyone who's had one class of accounting, and they will tell you I'm right. So I do offer consultation. I will not
I would
work with
enjoy that
anybody.
actually. I would I'd
Yeah,
want to hear a CPA's opinion on
right,
on
right.
this theory that you have here, because credit cards have been around for a long time. I'm certainly unqualified. I've got, I could barely spell, gap. But I would wonder. I would wonder how that's not debated more often, because you're the only one I've ever heard it expressed this way. So, Tommy, I started my business in the '90s, and I was working way too hard. I'm actually from Connecticut. You kept on talking about I'm from New Haven, and working 14, 16-hour days. And you're no stranger to this, Tommy. And I was putting my health in the back seat. And before you know it, I'm in front of the doctor. She tells me I'm at 340 pounds. I had gained all of this terrible weight. So she says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. So she scared the life out of me. Right? So I'm driving home upset with myself, spent the next 6, 7 months, lost about 120 pounds and kept it off, right? These are lifelong changes you have to make. That you can't be anything temporary about this. And when I ask people, excuse me, when I tell people about this, they say, well, what's your secret? How'd you lose all the weight? And Tommy, there's no secret. Discipline. That's how. Motivation, focus, routine. How does discipline play a role in your life, Tommy Kilpatrick?
Oh, right from the very beginning, being in a kind of a structured kind of family in that sense, and having my allowance, I put my allowance in different envelopes. So I would set aside, you had to have some
Did
for
you
the
really?
church or every Sunday. So we always had money for that. Then for my savings, and then for this and for that. I was at 7 selling cake and Kool-Aid in my garage on Saturday, and friends would come up and they didn't have any money. They're like 2 cents, 5 cents. They didn't have pennies. And I would say, go get me 3 customers and I'll give you a piece of cake for free. So they went out and got me customers. When I was 14, I was working as a peanut salesman. There was a guy that had a roaster on the head of his truck, and we were right on the side of the beach. And so people would pull in and I would sell them goobers, which are raw peanuts, and from cashews to pecans. I knew all my nuts and stuff like that.
Huh.
And then I saved up my money and I bought a motorcycle. So when I was 15, I had a driver's license to drive a motorcycle, which I drove to high school to learn how to drive a car. I was not
Huh.
legally allowed to drive a car, but I could with a motorcycle. And then I had become a scuba diver at 13. And then at 14, I was in a scuba movie with a friend of mine. We were playing in the pool of the dive shop, and they got a call. Hey, you guys, you want to go a free trip to Catalina? Sure. So we got on a boat, and this guy was a photographer and needed some footage. And so he took us down, and he actually picked up a shark, a little baby shark, and we passed it back and forth and showed the camera and stuff like that. In our 8th grade science class, they actually had a reel of the movie. They showed what we were in. So that's me. And the other guy, my other friend said, that's me. So you couldn't really tell because it was just a mask on. But at 15, I was a diver. I worked for Ship Shape Divers in Dana Point, and there I cleaned the barnacles off the boats and changed the zincs out and repaired the damage of the boats from electrolysis, and actually painted a keel underwater. And it was on a pressurized roller, and I kind of smushed it on, and it dried. And I came back a month later to wipe it clean,
Amazing.
and it turned to more of a silver color. So I was making 165 a week, and my friends that working at McDonald's were making 40. So I put that money aside, and then I became at 17. I graduated early in January. I had enough credits, and I moved out of my parents' house 2 months later. I had my own apartment, and I worked as an insurance investigator. I lied. I told them I was 19. They had my driver's license. They knew I was 17, but they hired me anyway. I had a brand new car, I had a Mazda RX-3. I put $1,000
Nice.
down, it's $4,000. So I went to the showroom, dropped $1,000 cash, and I signed a contract for a car loan when I was 17. So yeah, just
Going back to discipline.
ah,
So how does
and
discipline play a role in your life now?
now I actually have a Visa card. And Visa comes from a Buddhist concept of right now, whole view. So whenever I get overwhelmed or when I'm not feeling right and I just don't feel comfortable and everything was, and I need to know something. That's the thing about discipline is of being a learner. So what do I need to
Mm,
learn? So right now, whole view. So I stop, I take in everything from my tactile to the olfactory, the nose and taste, the auditory, and then
wow.
the visual, which is the colors, the shape, the texture. And at the end is when the verb comes into play. And that's when I start to notice movement. And then the I is intent. And that's from the book Think and Grow Rich. If you don't have desire, you don't have anything. So you got to start with desire. And that's what's your intent. So what's my intent here with you is to somehow, some way get a client so I can be a consultant. So I can consult with you to eliminate $200,000 of corporate credit card. All your bank, all your board of directors are all maxed out. They're trying to keep this company going. It's about to go bankrupt. All your employees. So with working with the CFO, which is most likely the CPA, we put together a letter to the bank saying we want to close this checking accounts and which is in plural.
Tommy,
And
can you go back to discipline? Can you? The
oh,
theme
sure.
is discipline. I know you want to
Right.
pitch, but what's the discipline?
The discipline would be the intent. So that's my intent. So you have to be very clear about what your intent is. Then right now, whole speech, and that's your S. And that's what you say. You speak into existence from your intention based on your view. So take the view in, have your intent, have your speech. And A stands for action. Now, what you said you're going to do it. So that's my Visa card I have every day. So if I ever get distracted, if I get overwhelmed, if I feel off course, then I just stop, pull into view. What is my intent? Back to what the hell you're supposed to be doing. And then talk about it, say it, speak it into existence, and then do it. Don't just sit there on your couch and be crying and complaining, being a victim. You're not a victim. If you want to be a victim, go right ahead. I don't have time for you. So get on board or get off. It's a bumpy ride, but
What
only trying to
motivates you,
hold on.
Tommy? What motivates you?
Well, first of all, God, I have been with the one. We think different. People who have crossed over and come back, you feel love, and I have felt love in every single cell of my body. And it's not like other people's experiences of like a garden and always people. It was black and white, and it was more like a feel. I really don't have a lot of visual things. It's more of a feel and a touch. But when I crossed over, it is a feeling of love. The music, I don't describe it often because I really can't, but it's what people like. I read a book and it said we are perennials is what they call us, and it's we have a different viewpoint of life. We don't take religion, philosophy, psychology, or sociology, spiritualism very seriously. We're just living a different life. We have usually a higher moral value, is what they've noticed with people like us. And so we're only here to serve. And that's all I'm here to do is do what Jesus said is love and mercy. And love means in Hebrew, I give, and mercy means extreme kindness. So I'm here in the Philippines. I have been given love. I have been given extreme kindness by the Filipino
That's
people.
wonderful.
The only thing I can do give back is give them back love and mercy and kindness back to them. So that's what motivates me is God's motivation.
That's wonderful, Tommy. That's a wonderful notion. So, given that motivation of giving back and what you say, love and mercy, how do you measure success?
Well, it used to be how much money was in my account. And then that's where I was involved in being American, being married, and then all I was doing was trying to make the money. And when you're in a currency dominated economy, morals and values are actually a hindrance to you. So that's where I had the opportunity to leave that relationship, that 28-year marriage, and to go on a quest to be self-sufficient. And that's why I got
Hmm.
so interested in organic farming and how you can do it. But you discover you just can't do it by yourself. It takes a community. It takes a whole, not a village of what the communist uh, Hillary says, but it takes more. It takes more of a community of farmers because some are good at animals, and that's the first farm I went to. She said either pick animals or plants. So I tended to pick more animals. So the farm I was on there in Maine, we had over 100 animals. And now thinking back about it, that was a lot of work. So my shift now is I came to the Philippines to teach farmers how to build dome houses out of bamboo and vertical gardening. So no more bending over, no more 10,000 years of bending over to grow food. We can grow food vertically at an angle and have a huge bounty. And I have been in greenhouses that have huge amounts of lettuce being grown every week. We're harvesting huge heads of lettuce right here in the Philippines. And this one warehouse, this one greenhouse could produce so much more. And so I'm working on contracts getting turmeric a contract. So I'm looking to get buyers. And I have three of them, one from Kuwait, one from Japan, and one from, I think India. They're asking for a quote for tons. We're talking metric tons. And I don't have a single turmeric grown yet. But if I get a guaranteed purchase order
Amazing.
and deliver in 9 months, believe me, I will find the capital because this will be millions of dollars coming into the families here.
Want to show your love for discipline, inspiration, and the Joey Pinz podcast? Now's your chance. Introducing the brand new Joey Pinz merch store, where style meets discipline. Choose from premium apparel, cozy hoodies, stylish hats, durable bags, and your new favorite coffee mug, all featuring the iconic Joey Pinz logo. Perfect for podcast fans, discipline enthusiasts, or as unique gifts for friends and family. Every purchase supports the Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations podcast, helping us continue to inspire greatness and promote positive change. Visit joeypins.com/store today and wear your discipline proudly. Joey Pinz merch. Wear it, share it, and live it.
In the Philippines.
Absolutely astounding the way your mind works, Tommy. I really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, I see DIY-debtrelief.com. Is that the best way?
Yeah, it's one way. I'll have my email there in the show notes, and I'll have Tommy A. Kilpatrick on Facebook, so you can reach me that way too. So, and I offer a free 15-minute consultation, and if you do the consultation, I'll give you my $69 book for free. So, all I want you to do is have the concept that you don't have this credit card debt, that it can be resolved, and the whole point is to be disciplined, is love and about learning. So, the love of learning is called philosophy. There you go. So.
Very cool, Tommy. If I'm in the Philippines, perhaps we'll get a cup of tea. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.